killed a bunch of Americans. It's going to drive us out of the region, destroyed all of our bases on the Gulf. It's a disaster. So I told him at the time, you are being led around by the nose by Netanyahu, and everyone can see it. And, you know, he didn't like to hear that, but it was a fact, and it remains a fact.
What did he say to you when you told him?
Why is that?
When you said that to him, when you said those words that you just said, what did he say to you? What did you say to him? What did he say to you in response?
I think you know Trump, so you can picture the scene.
Yes.
Trump hates confrontation, direct confrontation, hates it, can't deal with it at all. He likes everyone to get along. He likes to tell jokes. And I like this about him. I'm not criticizing it at all. He said, oh, no, it's going to be totally fine. That's not true. And it's fine. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then he had someone else call and say that he was offended by it.
It's not every day you see a prominent conservative pundit call out the sitting president for being subordinated to a foreign government. But that's exactly what just happened. Tucker Carlson sat down with Stephen A. Smith and laid out a complete indictment of Donald Trump's foreign policy, specifically pointing to the regime change war in Iran and accusing the Israeli government of committing an ongoing, systematic genocide in Gaza. When someone who spent years as a top-rated right-wing host starts using phrases like Amalek and directly calling out American military subservience to foreign powers, you know the narrative establishment is fracturing. We're going to look at the receipts, verify the facts, and break down what this means for American politics. I'm Neel. This is The Honest Perspective, where we prioritize truth over access and people over profits. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and let's get into it.
Let's get right to it, Tucker Carlson. I mean,
right.
you've spoken out. You know, once upon a time you supported the president. That is no longer the case. Not to be redundant, but remind our audience why you don't seem to be as supportive of President Trump as you once were.
Well, I supported him, not only supported him, I campaigned with him and for him and spoke at the Republican National Convention and knew him for 20 years. And I defended him at Fox, you know, for my entire time there. And I got along with him really well until about 20 minutes ago, actually until February 28th, when he launched a regime change war on behalf of Israel, with Israel, on Iran, a war that every person who was paying attention knew could not be won, and that would only damage the United States. And I told him that repeatedly before he did it. And it wasn't, from my perspective, just a mistake. It was like the end of an entire moment in world history where the United States, you know, has enough power to influence events. That's all done, I think, because of this. And I think it's going to dramatically affect the standard of living in the United States and in Western Europe, which I care about. I think it's the most disastrous decision any American president has made in my lifetime, and nothing comes close. So, you know, it's not that I hate Trump as a person. I feel sorry for Trump. He wasn't able to make an independent decision. He's controlled by another country. But I disapprove of it, and I'm outraged on behalf of my country, which is the United States.
Well, Tucker, why does it have to be that he's controlled by another country? Why can't
it doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't be that way. No president should ever be controlled by another country.
Just let me ask the question.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be that, as opposed to he genuinely feels this way, and this is the decision that he made, and it's just something that you don't agree with, as opposed to him being controlled by another country?
Notice the gravity of what Tucker is alleging here. He's not talking about partisan disagreements or media spin. He's directly accusing the former president of the United States of being controlled by a foreign nation when making choices about foreign policy and warfare. When a top figure on the right makes an assertion like that, it exposes a massive fracture within conservative media and foreign policy doctrine. Let's look at the next part where Stephen A. pushes him on the direct interaction.
Dude, you tell me. I don't have the answer. I said this to him directly. I said this to him during the 12-day war in last June, you know, which Israel started. And we didn't benefit from it. Obviously, we went to war again. That was the beginning of the regime change war that they planned and wanted for their own reasons. It had nothing to do with our strategic goals or our interests at all. It only hurt the United States. It killed a bunch of Americans. It's going to drive us out of the region, destroyed all of our bases on the Gulf. It's a disaster. So I told him at the time, you are being led around by the nose by Netanyahu, and everyone can see it. And, you know, he didn't like to hear that, but it was a fact, and it remains a fact.
What did he say to you when you told him?
Why is that?
When you said that to him, when you said those words that you just said, what did he say to you? What did you say to him? What did he say to you in response?
I think you know Trump, so you can picture the scene.
Yes.
Trump hates confrontation, direct confrontation, hates it, can't deal with it at all. He likes everyone to get along. He likes to tell jokes. And I like this about him. I'm not criticizing it at all. He said, oh, no, it's going to be totally fine. That's not true. And it's fine. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then he had someone else call and say that he was offended by it, which I understand. You know, I shouldn't have said that. I snapped. I was so frustrated. This is embarrassing. I'm an American. Whatever you think of this country, which has treated me very well, and, you know, my family's been here forever. I like America. I live here. My kids live here. This hurts America. And I don't like to see the United States humiliated because it's my country. And that's humiliating. Why are you taking orders from a country of 9 million people with no resources? And I'm not even attacking Israel. I'm attacking our leaders who today in the U.S. Congress, right now as we're talking, are voting to merge the U.S. military with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, the group committing genocide in the Middle East. Like,
and why would we be doing that? Why would we be merging?
That is an extraordinary story to share publicly. Tucker describes confronting Trump face to face, telling him point blank that Netanyahu was leading him around by the nose, only for Trump to dodge the conflict and send an aide to say he was offended. Tucker then takes it a step further, targeting Congress for votes that effectively align American military power with foreign military actions. Now, watch how the conversation shifts when Stephen A. questions him directly on Gaza and his use of the word genocide.
Because you made it a point to point out you don't engage in anti-Semitism, you don't support it, you don't believe it, you don't believe you're a part of it, et cetera, et cetera. When people talk about some of the things that you said, I went to some controversial comments that you've made in regards to the Gaza war.
Right.
You called Israel's actions genocide, ethnic cleansing, murder of thousands of children, and a land grab. You described it as losing morality, treating Arabs, quote, like animals or subhumans, end quote, and incompatible with Western civilization values. You visited Gaza refugees and highlighted child casualties. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I would ask you...
No, that sounds like Nazi behavior, like worrying about children who are injured.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
First of all,
that's why,
everything
that's why
you
people
just
say that. I say, what are y'all
listed-
talking about? I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
I
but
apologize. Go ahead.
It's a slander. Look, if you're committing genocide, which Israel currently is in Gaza, and genocide is, you know, we have an international definition of it, which everyone signed on to up until about 20 minutes, until Israel started committing it. And it is the systematic effort by a government to eliminate a people. And I don't have to guess about this because Israeli cabinet ministers and the prime minister of Israel repeatedly have said that's their goal. They describe the Palestinians as Amalek. I'll refer you to the Old Testament or Hebrew scriptures, whatever you want to call it, our Bible and theirs, in which Amalek is the Amalekites. And that's the group that God tells the ancient Hebrews to kill, all of them, including their children, their babies, and their livestock. And the prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has used this phrase multiple times, not just randomly once, again and again and again in speeches. And so have his cabinet ministers, the finance minister, the defense minister. Mm-hmm. They've all said the point is we have to kill all these people and drive them out. Well, that is the definition of genocide. Don't take my word for it. Israeli human rights groups are calling it genocide. The rest of the world is calling it genocide. Mm-hmm. The prime minister has been indicted in international court for genocide. There's no debate about whether it's genocide. The debate is, why are we going along with this and allowing people who are committing genocide to give us moral lectures? Like, I'm not the criminal for noticing what you're doing, and I'm not going to take a moral lecture from Adolf Eichmann. Why would I? This is crazy.
This is where Tucker breaks completely from mainstream U.S. media orthodoxy. He explicitly invokes international legal definitions, points directly to ICJ indictments, and highlights how biblical rhetoric like Amalek was used by political leaders to justify total destruction. Let's play the final clip before we break down the receipts and fact-check these claims.
And by the way, future generations will realize that it's crazy. So crazy, it's going to be hard to believe it happened.
So how would you answer the question if somebody would have asked Tucker Carlson, is your issue with the Jewish community? Is it with Israel? Is it specifically with Benjamin Netanyahu? I mean, who's the issue with? Because that's somebody that you've described as
it's not a mystery.
Evil.
I've said it out loud. By the way, I hate even to go there because it's so low. It's playing their game, but it's also a fact that I have a lot of Jewish friends and Jewish guests on the show making exactly the same points. The idea that the government of Benjamin Netanyahu speaks for all Jews on planet Earth is a lie. It's a lie that's going to do grave damage to Jews. I don't know why people go along with this. If some lunatic stood up, some lunatic white person said, I speak for all whites, I would say, you don't speak for me. If Louis Farrakhan stands up and says, I speak for all black people, I hope you're like, no, not for me. Like, this idea that some politician in a foreign country gets to speak for global Jewry is insane. I'm not playing along with it. But here's the point. They are committing genocide. The lessons that I learned I'm 57, as a child growing up in America, were really clear. Genocide is always wrong. The Nazis did it. That's why we don't like the Nazis. The Hutus in Rwanda did it. I mean, the Turks did it. The Ottoman Turks did it against the Armenians. It's always wrong. And the person committing genocide doesn't get to attack me on moral grounds for pointing it out. This is crazy. And everyone else sees it. Only in the United States are we like, well, are you an anti-Semite because you don't like genocide? No, I'm a human being. I'm against it when it was aimed at Jews. I'm against it when Bibi Netanyahu does it. I'm against it when the Hutus do it. I'm just against it because it's immoral. And if we can't say that genocide's immoral, where does that leave us? And why are we paying for this? That's the other thing. It's not just some academic, like, are you for genocide? Well, obviously I'm opposed. I'm opposed to killing innocents, always, including bombing girls' schools in Iran.
As most decent people should be, against killing innocents, without
all
question.
Decent people. But
that's right.
If you're doing that, again, I'm not taking a moral lecture from someone who's committing genocide, and none of us should. And through aggression and intimidation, they've scared the living crap out of everyone in the American media, apparently including you, into this place where it's like,
what do you mean apparently including me? Why is it including me?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because the fact you're asking it when the facts about what the Israeli government have done in Gaza are transparent, widely known, provable. You can use only Israeli sources for those facts and still arrive at the same conclusion Israelis have arrived at.
Tucker Carlson,
it's genocide.
Let me put you on pause for 1 second when it comes to me, sir. Most people in my audience may not have heard what you had to say. I want them to hear from you. So I'm just asking. Oh, no, nobody's got me hoodwinked. I'm literally asking because I literally want to hear. Like there's several things that you may have brought up that I may not have heard. I may be hearing you say for the first time because I don't get a chance to watch you all the time. That's all it is.
But
I want you to know that.
Crazy. No, but it's not just me. I mean, by the way, I should say, I spent 35 years never saying anything about Israel, okay? So it's not like I'm some courageous voice who's bringing this to the world's attention. This has been going on for a very long time, since 1948, to varying degrees. And for the last 3 years, it's been going on at a pace that's impossible to ignore. And only in the United States, I just want to say it again, only in the United States and Israel is this not a majority view widely known by everybody. They've killed tens of thousands of children. They have killed scores of journalists, over 100 journalists. They bombed churches and hospitals. They bombed and destroyed all civilian infrastructure, and they're driving people out, and they're saying it. They're saying it out loud. What? And because of YouTube, we can actually watch this now. And it's like, oh, there's an Israeli official saying we're going to put them in concentration camps. And it's like, the United States could stop this. It's the only country on the planet that could stop it because we're paying for it. And I'm not even mad at the Israelis. I think they've gone insane. I think they will be punished for what they're doing in the same way the Germans were punished for what they did, in exactly the same way. Because
are you talking about the government or are you talking about the people? Are you talking about the government or are you talking about the people?
I'm talking about, I'll be specific. I'm talking about the government ministers who ordered this. I'm talking about the people who carried it out, the good Israelis who are committing genocide. And in some sense, they're victims as well. And I feel sorry for all of them because you can't lie your way out of 75,000 dead bodies. Okay, you just can't. There's no getting around that. You did it. Everyone saw you do it.
What we just witnessed is a significant rift in American political discourse. Tucker Carlson, a longtime mainstay of conservative media, explicitly labeled the actions of the Israeli government in Gaza as a genocide, cited legal definitions, and called out the rhetoric used by Israeli leadership. Now, let's verify those facts, because credibility on this channel rests on real receipts. First, on the rhetoric. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu officially invoked the biblical story of Amalek during a national address on October 28, 2023. In Deuteronomy 25:17-1, Samuel 15:3, the biblical passage regarding Amalek contains an explicit command to wipe out an entire population. Defense attorneys and pro-Israel advocates before the International Court of Justice argued this was meant purely as a historical metaphor for Hamas, but human rights organizations, legal scholars, and South Africa's legal team at the ICJ cited that exact quote as evidence of genocidal intent. Second, on the influence of foreign lobbying. Tucker specifically points to political contributions and lobbying pressure forcing U.S. alignment. The data backs up the scale of this influence. During the 2024 election cycle, AIPAC and its affiliated super PACs spent over $100 million, including spending tens of millions targeted directly at primary races to unseat lawmakers who were critical of Israeli military actions or called for a ceasefire. Where Tucker's analysis requires critical examination, however, is his broader framing of political motives. While he correctly highlights the massive influence of campaign donations and billionaire power brokers, he frames this as a uniquely foreign control issue, effectively absolving the long-standing bipartisan consensus in Washington. The reality is that American empire, war profiteering, and defense industry lobbying, from Lockheed Martin to Raytheon, benefit massively from perpetual foreign entanglements. It isn't just that politicians are being led around by the nose. It's that maintaining a militarized footprint in the Middle East aligns with the structural interests of corporate defense contractors and U.S. hegemony. Holding leaders accountable means looking past partisan rhetoric and focusing on material facts, human rights, and international law. If you believe in holding both parties accountable, questioning war profiteering, and putting human lives above political access, subscribe to The Honest Perspective. I'm Neel. Truth over access. People over profits. Live, uncut, unfiltered. That's The Honest Perspective, and that's where I'll leave you.